Welcome to Ian Cinema, your destination for endless entertainment and unforgettable movie moments. Discover exciting films, inspiring stories, and cinematic journeys across every genre. Whether you love action, drama, thrillers, or timeless favorites, there's always something waiting for you here. Sit back, enjoy the experience, and let Ian Cinema bring the magic of movies to your screen. Released in the United States on July 1, 2026, Minions and the Monster is another fun-filled addition to Illumination's hugely successful Despicable Me and Minions universe. Directed by Pierre Coffin, who has been a driving creative force behind the franchise since its beginning, the film delivers a fresh adventure that blends classic Hollywood filmmaking, hilarious monster mayhem, heartwarming friendships, and the signature slapstick comedy that has made the Minions beloved around the world. Instead of repeating familiar ideas, the movie introduces an exciting new setting inspired by the golden age of cinema, giving the lovable yellow characters one of the franchise's most imaginative adventures yet. Packed with vibrant animation, clever visual humor, touching moments, and a cast of memorable new characters, Minions and the Monster entertains younger viewers while also offering plenty of nostalgic references for older audiences and film enthusiasts. The story unfolds during the glamorous Hollywood era of the 1920s, when silent films and monster movies were captivating audiences everywhere. Dreaming of becoming movie stars, the Minions find themselves working at one of Hollywood's biggest film studios. Their endless enthusiasm and innocent curiosity quickly lead to a series of hilarious mishaps. While trying to create the greatest monster movie ever made, they accidentally unleash a real monster into the world. What begins as an ordinary film production soon turns into an unforgettable adventure, as the Minions race to protect Hollywood and eventually the entire planet from the chaos they unintentionally caused. Along the way, they befriend the gentle green creature, explore legendary movie sets, and discover that true courage, friendship, and teamwork can make even the biggest challenges possible to overcome. Teamwork, courage, and imagination prove to be the keys to overcoming even the greatest challenges. Like the best entries in the franchise, the story is simple enough for younger viewers to follow while offering enough creativity, humor, and heart to keep adults thoroughly entertained. One of the film's greatest strengths is its celebration of cinema itself. Rather than delivering just another Minions adventure, the filmmakers use these lovable characters to explore the rich history of filmmaking. Throughout the movie, audiences will notice playful nods to silent films, early Hollywood productions, legendary directors, iconic actors, classic monster movies, and the evolution of visual storytelling. These cinematic references never distract from the main story. Instead, they serve as fun Easter eggs for movie lovers while remaining entertaining for children, who can simply enjoy the Minions' endless mischief. As a result, the film works on multiple levels and rewards repeat viewings, with new details and clever references becoming more noticeable each time. Visually, Minions and the Monster is another impressive achievement from Illumination. The animation is vibrant, energetic, and bursting with personality. Every frame is filled with expressive character animation, detailed backgrounds, and beautifully crafted locations that recreate the charm of classic Hollywood. The story moves seamlessly between grand film studios, lively city streets, mysterious laboratories, spooky castles, and thrilling action sequences featuring monsters of every shape and size. The lighting, textures, and fluid character movements highlight just how much Illumination's animation technology has evolved over the years. Even the monster designs remain family-friendly while still feeling imaginative and distinctive, making them exciting rather than frightening for younger audiences. Director Pierre Coffin once again delivers the instantly recognizable voices of the Minions. Although they speak in their own playful language, a hilarious mix of funny sounds, made-up words, and expressive reactions, and they continue to prove that memorable comedy doesn't depend on traditional dialogue. Their emotions are communicated through body language, facial expressions, and perfectly timed physical humor. allowing audiences to understand exactly what they're feeling and trying to say. Kevin, Bob, and the rest of the Minions each display unique personalities, making every scene they appear in both charming and entertaining. Their innocent curiosity remains one of the franchise's greatest strengths, turning even the simplest situations into laugh-out-loud moments. The supporting voice cast adds even more depth and warmth to the adventure. Joe brings heartfelt energy and charm to a character that audiences quickly grow attached to. Christoph Waltz lends his trademark sophistication and charisma to a memorable Hollywood filmmaker whose love of cinema plays a vital role throughout the story. Academy Award winner Jeff Bridges voices the respected head of a major film studio, bringing wisdom, gentle humor, and quiet authority that enrich the adventure from beginning to end. Talking about the cast, Jesse Eisenberg brings his signature fast-paced delivery to a brilliantly intelligent character whose creative ideas often lead to hilarious and unexpected situations. Allison Janney adds confidence and warmth to the story, while Bobby Moynihan delivers excellent comic timing. Phil Lamar showcases his remarkable versatility by voicing multiple supporting characters, and Trey Parker lends his voice to the lovable green creature, Gil, whose heartwarming friendship with the Minions becomes one of the film's emotional highlights. Together, this talented ensemble creates a cast of memorable personalities that perfectly complements the Minions' endless energy and charm. One of the film's greatest strengths is its ability to balance comedy with genuine heart. The humor is easy for children to enjoy, thanks to the physical comedy, visual gags, funny misunderstandings, and the Minions' delightfully unpredictable behavior. At the same time, adults can appreciate the clever references to cinema history, filmmaking, and classic Hollywood culture. While kids will laugh at the Minions' playful antics, older viewers will find plenty of witty details to enjoy as well. Beneath all the laughter lies a meaningful message about friendship, creativity, self-confidence, and learning from mistakes. Even after accidentally creating an enormous problem, the Minions refuse to give up. Their determination, teamwork, and willingness to face every challenge together remind audiences that perseverance and cooperation can overcome even the toughest obstacles. From a technical standpoint, Minions and Monsters showcases the high production standards audiences have come to expect from Illumination. The animation is consistently vibrant and beautifully crafted, with smooth character movements that make every scene feel lively and natural. The editing maintains a fast, energetic pace from beginning to end, while each action sequence is carefully choreographed so younger viewers can easily follow the story without feeling overwhelmed. Composer John Apollo returns with another energetic and memorable musical score, blending sweeping orchestral adventure themes with playful melodies that enhance both the emotional and comedic moments. The sound design also deserves special recognition, with every monster roar, slapstick collision, explosion, and unmistakable Minion laugh adding to the film's fun, exciting, and joyful atmosphere. Commercially, Minions and Monsters enjoyed an impressive worldwide debut after its release during the Independence Day holiday period. The film quickly attracted family audiences looking for an entertaining summer adventure. In its first 5 days in North America, it earned approximately $61.4 million, while international markets contributed nearly $98.5 million, bringing its worldwide opening close to $160 million. Within its first week, the film's global earnings surpassed $166 million, once again demonstrating the enduring worldwide popularity of the Minions franchise. From a financial perspective, the movie performed particularly well overseas, with international markets generating nearly 60% of its total revenue. This balanced global performance highlights the franchise's universal appeal, as its visual humor easily connects with audiences across different languages and cultures. Additional revenue from premium large-format screenings, IMAX presentations, international distribution agreements, licensing, merchandising, and future streaming rights further strengthens the film's long-term commercial potential. Overall, Minions and the Monster is a joyful, imaginative, and thoroughly entertaining animated adventure that proudly continues the legacy of the beloved Minions franchise. While comparisons with previous films are inevitable, this installment successfully introduces a fresh, Hollywood-inspired setting while preserving the humor, heart, and charm that fans have come to love, blending colorful animation, lovable characters, laugh-out-loud comedy, heartfelt friendships, creative storytelling, and spectacular visuals. The film delivers an experience that appeals to audiences of all ages. At its core, it reminds viewers that even the smallest heroes can embark on the biggest adventures. With its timeless humor, uplifting message, and unforgettable characters, Minions and the Monster stands as another delightful success for Illumination and one of the most enjoyable family animated films of 2026. Proving once again why the Minions continue to bring smiles to millions of people around the world. Released in the United States on July 1, 2026, Minions and the Monster expands Illumination's hugely successful Despicable Me and Minions universe with a fresh and exciting adventure. Directed by Pierre Coffin, who has been a driving force behind the franchise since its beginning, the film combines classic Hollywood filmmaking, hilarious monster-themed chaos, heartwarming friendships, and the signature slapstick comedy that has made the Minions global favorites. Rather than relying on familiar ideas, the movie introduces a vibrant new setting inspired by the golden age of cinema. This creative backdrop allows the lovable yellow characters to explore one of the franchise's most imaginative stories yet, filled with colorful animation, clever visual gags, emotional moments, and memorable new characters. The film keeps younger viewers thoroughly entertained while offering countless references that movie lovers and older audiences will appreciate. The story unfolds in glamorous 1920s Hollywood, a time when silent films and classic monster movies captivated audiences. Dreaming of becoming movie stars, the Minions find themselves working inside one of Hollywood's biggest film studios. Their endless enthusiasm and innocent curiosity quickly lead to a series of hilarious mishaps. While attempting to create the greatest monster movie ever made, they accidentally unleash a real monster into the world. What begins as a simple film production soon transforms into an exciting adventure, as the Minions must protect Hollywood and eventually the entire planet from the chaos they unintentionally create. Along the way, they befriend a lovable green creature, explore legendary movie sets, and discover that teamwork, courage, and imagination are the keys to overcoming even the greatest challenges. Like the best entries in the franchise, the story remains easy for younger viewers to follow while offering enough creativity, humor, and emotion to keep adults fully engaged. One of the film's greatest strengths is its heartfelt celebration of cinema. Rather than simply telling another Minions adventure, the filmmakers use these beloved characters to pay tribute to the history of filmmaking. Throughout the movie, audiences can spot playful nods to silent films, early Hollywood productions, legendary directors, iconic actors, classic monster movies, and the birth of visual storytelling. These references never distract from the main story. Instead, they become fun discoveries for film enthusiasts while remaining entertaining for children who simply enjoy watching the Minions' non-stop mischief. As a result, the movie works on multiple levels and rewards repeat viewings, with new details becoming noticeable each time. Visually, the film is another remarkable achievement for Illumination. The animation is bright, energetic, and bursting with personality. Every frame is filled with expressive facial animation, clever background details, charming visual jokes, and beautifully crafted locations that perfectly recreate the magic of old Hollywood. The adventure moves seamlessly through grand film studios, lively city streets, mysterious laboratories, spooky castles, and thrilling action sequences featuring monsters of every shape and size. The lighting, textures, and fluid character animation showcase just how far Illumination's technology has evolved over the years. Even the monster designs remain imaginative and family-friendly, making them exciting rather than frightening for younger audiences. Director Pierre Coffin once again provides the instantly recognizable voices of the Minions. Although they communicate through their own playful language, a humorous blend of funny sounds, made-up words, and expressive reactions, and they continue to prove that memorable comedy doesn't require traditional dialogue. Audiences easily understand their emotions through expressive body language, facial expressions, and perfectly timed physical humor. Kevin, Bob, and the rest of the Minions each display unique personalities, and their innocent curiosity remains one of the franchise's greatest strengths, turning even the simplest situations into hilarious adventures. The supporting voice cast adds tremendous depth and personality to the film. Joey King brings warmth and energy to her character, creating someone audiences quickly grow to care about. Christoph Waltz delivers sophistication and charm as a passionate Hollywood filmmaker whose love of cinema plays an important role throughout the story. Academy Award winner Jeff Bridges voices the respected head of a major film studio, bringing wisdom, humor, and gentle authority to the adventure. Jason Eisenberg contributes his trademark fast-paced delivery to a brilliant inventor whose clever ideas often lead to unexpected and amusing situations. Allison Janney adds confidence and warmth to her role, while Bobby Moynihan provides excellent comic timing. Phil Lamar showcases his remarkable versatility through several supporting characters, and Trey Parker voices the lovable green creature, Gummy, whose friendship with the Minions becomes one of the film's emotional highlights. Together, this talented ensemble creates a memorable cast of characters that perfectly complements the Minions' endless energy and irresistible charm. One of the film's greatest strengths is the way it balances comedy with genuine heart. The humor is easy for children to enjoy, thanks to its physical comedy, visual gags, amusing misunderstandings, and the Minions' wonderfully unpredictable behavior. At the same time, adults will appreciate the clever nods to classic Hollywood, filmmaking traditions, and cinema history. While younger audiences laugh at the Minions' hilarious antics, older viewers can enjoy the film's witty references and layered storytelling. Beneath all the laughter, the movie delivers a meaningful message about friendship, creativity, self-belief, and learning from mistakes. Even after accidentally creating a massive problem, the Minions never lose hope. Their determination, teamwork, and unwavering optimism inspire them to overcome every challenge together, reminding audiences that persistence and cooperation can accomplish remarkable things. From a technical standpoint, Minions and Monsters showcases the outstanding production quality audiences have come to expect from Illumination. The animation is consistently impressive, with vibrant visuals, expressive character designs, and smooth, lifelike movement. The fast-paced editing keeps the adventure exciting from beginning to end, while every action sequence is carefully choreographed so younger viewers can easily follow the story without feeling overwhelmed. Composer John Apalo returns with another energetic and memorable musical score, blending grand orchestral adventure themes with playful melodies that perfectly enhance both the emotional and comedic moments. The sound design is equally impressive, with every monster roar, slapstick collision, explosion, and signature Minion laugh adding energy and personality to the film's joyful atmosphere. Commercially, Minions and Monsters enjoyed an outstanding start at the worldwide box office. Released during the Independence Day holiday period, it quickly attracted families looking for a fun summer adventure. During its first 5 days in North America, the film earned approximately $61.4 million, while international markets contributed nearly $98.5 million, bringing its global opening close to $160 million. By the end of its first week, worldwide earnings had surpassed $166 million, once again demonstrating the enduring global popularity of the Minions franchise. From a financial perspective, the film performed especially well overseas, with international markets generating nearly 60% of its total revenue. This strong worldwide performance highlights the franchise's universal appeal, as its visual humor easily transcends language barriers. Additional revenue from premium large-format screenings, IMAX presentations, international distribution agreements, licensing, merchandising, and future streaming rights further strengthens the film's long-term commercial potential. Overall, Minions and Monsters is a joyful, imaginative, and thoroughly entertaining animated adventure that proudly continues the legacy of the beloved Minions franchise. While comparisons to previous films are inevitable, this installment successfully introduces a fresh Hollywood-inspired setting while preserving the charm, humor, and heart that fans have come to love. It combines colorful animation, lovable characters, laugh-out-loud comedy, heartfelt friendships, creative storytelling, and spectacular visuals into an experience that appeals to audiences of all ages. Most importantly, the film reminds viewers that even the smallest heroes can create the biggest adventures. With its timeless humor, uplifting message, unforgettable characters, and impressive production values, Minions and Monsters stands as another delightful success for Illumination and one of the most enjoyable animated family films of 2026, proving once again why the Minions continue to bring smiles to millions of people around the world. Released in the United States on July 1, 2026, Minions and the Monster is another delightful addition to Illumination's hugely successful Despicable Me and Minions universe. Directed by Pierre Coffin, Themo blindly, Angelis patiently follows their trail, confident that his intelligence and patience will eventually give him the advantage. Asa Blondie and Tucko continue their journey. They finally begin discussing what will happen once the goal is found. Tucko dreams of living a life filled with luxury, expensive clothes, fine food, and complete freedom from the law. Blondie, however, shows little excitement about wealth itself. His calm personality suggests that survival and independence matter more to him than the riches. Even so, both men secretly know the same truth. Once they reach the treasure, only one of them can leave with it. The uneasy partnership that has carried them this far is slowly approaching its breaking point. Days later, after traveling through abandoned villages and open countryside, they finally catch sight of their destination. In the distance, rising above the surrounding landscape is the enormous Sad Hill Cemetery, a vast circular graveyard containing thousands upon thousands of identical graves. Hidden somewhere among them lies the grave holding the missing Confederate gold. Both men stop their horses and stare silently at the breathtaking sight. After weeks of betrayal, violence, and endless travel, they have finally reached the place that has driven every decision since Billy Carson's death. Neither Blondie nor Tucko notices that Angelis has also arrived nearby with several armed men. Watching the cemetery from a distant hill, the ruthless mercenary quietly smiles. The long hunt is almost over. All three treasure hunters have finally reached the same destination, and the fortune buried beneath the countless graves is now closer than ever. Yet with greed, betrayal, and revenge still standing between them, the greatest. After days of relentless travel across the battlefields, deserts, and abandoned towns, Blondie and Tucko finally arrive on the outskirts of Sad Hill Cemetery. Stretching across the landscape is an enormous circular graveyard containing thousands of identical white headstones. From a distance, it seems almost impossible to imagine that one single grave among so many holds the legendary $200,000 in Confederate gold. The sight leaves both men speechless. They know they have reached the end of their long journey, but they also understand that the most dangerous part of the adventure has only just begun. Standing quietly beside his horse, Blondie carefully studies the cemetery without showing any emotion. His calm expression hides the fact that he is already thinking several moves ahead. Although he knows the name of the cemetery, he has never revealed it to Tucko until now. Likewise, Tucko still refuses to tell Blondie the name written on Bill Carson's grave. Both men continue protecting their half of the secret because each realizes that once the treasure is found, their uneasy partnership will almost certainly come to an end. Trust between them has never truly existed. It has only been temporarily replaced by necessity. Unable to control his excitement, Taco suddenly races into the cemetery before Blondie can stop him. Surrounded by thousands of graves, he begins desperately searching every headstone, hoping to find Bill Carson's grave by memory alone. Running through endless rows of white crosses, he grows increasingly frustrated as every section looks almost identical. The cemetery is so vast that it quickly becomes clear he could spend days searching without success. His impatience slowly turns into desperation as he realizes how impossible the task truly is. Meanwhile, Blondie walks calmly behind him, never wasting energy. Unlike Taco, he understands that rushing only leads to mistakes. He quietly watches his partner, exhausting himself while carefully observing the layout of the cemetery. His patience reflects the personality that has allowed him to survive countless dangerous situations throughout his life. Rather than chasing a fortune blindly, Blondie always waits for the perfect moment to act. Not far away, Angel Eyes finally reaches the cemetery with several armed men under his command. Hidden among the surrounding hills, he carefully watches Blondie and Taco from a distance. Rather than attacking immediately, he decides to wait until they locate the correct grave. He knows neither Blondie nor Taco can claim the treasure without revealing its exact location first. As always, Angel Eyes allows others to do the difficult work while preparing to take everything for himself at the very end. As Taco continues searching, exhaustion finally forces him to stop. Breathing heavily, he realizes the cemetery is simply too enormous. Frustrated, he returns to Blondie and reluctantly admits that finding the grave without a proper direction is impossible. Blondie quietly smiles, knowing exactly what Taco has just learned. The cemetery itself has become another test of patience, and patience has always been one of Blondie's greatest strengths. But at that moment, Blondie calmly reveals the name of the cemetery section where Bill Carson's grave is located. Hearing the information, Taco's excitement immediately returns. Together, the two men begin walking through the correct area, carefully reading the names engraved on each headstone. Every step brings them closer to unimaginable wealth, but it also increases the tension between them. Both secretly keep one hand close to their revolvers, fully aware that the treasury could turn allies into enemies within seconds. Before they can continue much farther, Angel Eyes finally makes his move, emerging from behind the grave with his armed men. He points his revolver directly at Blondie and Taco, calmly ordering them to drop their weapons. Angel Eyes announces that the hunt is over. After following them across battlefields and through countless dangers, he believes Victoria is finally within his grasp. Confident and composed, he explains that Blondie will now lead everyone to the correct grave while Taco reveals the name written upon it. Once the gold is found, Angel Eyes has no intention of leaving any witnesses alive. Blondie quickly realizes that Angel Eyes now holds the advantage. Outnumbered and surrounded, and neither he nor Taco has any realistic chance of escaping through force. However, Blondie's mind immediately begins searching for another solution. Rather than showing fear, he remains unusually calm, understanding that panic is exactly what Angel Eyes expects. Quietly studying the cemetery and the men surrounding him, Blondie begins preparing one final gamble that could change everything. As the three legendary gunslingers finally stand face to face inside the silent cemetery, the long treasure hunt reaches its most dangerous stage. Weeks of betrayal, survival, greed, and violence have brought them all to the same place. Hidden beneath one lonely grave lies the Confederate gold that every one of them is willing to die for. The final battle is now only moments away, and only a man will ultimately leave Sad Hill Cemetery with both his life and the fortune. The cold silence of Sad Hill Cemetery is broken only by the sound of the will as Blondie, Taco, and Angel Eyes stand facing music one another. Weeks of betrayal, deception, and Bloodsheeda have finally brought the three legendary gunslingers together at the very place where Bill Carson hid the Confederate gold. Angel Eyes has the advantage. His revolver is aimed directly at Blondie while several armed men surround both treasure hunters. Confident that Victoria is finally within his grasp, Angel Eyes calmly orders Blondie to lead everyone to the correct section of the cemetery. Blondie shows no sign of fear. Instead, he quietly studies every man standing around him. Years of surviving dangerous situations have taught him that there is always an opportunity if someone remains patient. He understands that Angelisa believes he controls the situation. But confidence often causes people to overlook small details, rather than resisting. Blondie calmly agrees to cooperate, knowing that buying time is his greatest weapon. Meanwhile, Taco grows increasingly nervous. Unlike Blondie, he struggles to hide his emotions. His eyes constantly shift between Angel Eyes, the armed guards, and the endless rows of graves surrounding them. The fortune he has dreamed about for so long now feels closer than ever. Yet, it also seems more impossible to reach. Deep inside, Taco realizes that Angela's never intended to share the treasure. Once the gold is found, both he and Blondie will become unnecessary. For the first time since the journey began, Taco begins trusting Blondie's judgment more than his own instincts. Following Blondie's instructions, the group slowly moves deeper into the cemetery. Thousands of white headstones stretch in every direction, creating a maze that seems almost endless. Every few moments, Angel Eyes impatiently demands that Blondie move faster, but Blondie deliberately maintains a steady pace. He knows exactly where Bill Carson's grave lies, yet he refuses to reveal it too quickly. Each extra minute gives him another chance to think of a way out. As they walk, Blondie quietly notices tension beginning to spread among Angela's own men. The mercenaries glance at one another whenever the treasure is mentioned, and greed slowly replaces discipline. Blondie understands that enormous wealth has a way of destroying loyalty. Even before the gold is uncovered, Angel's followers are already imagining how much money each of them might receive. Their growing distraction becomes another weakness. Blondie carefully stores away. Eventually, the group reaches the correct section of the cemetery. Blondie stops beside a cluster of graves and calmly tells Taco that the grave is somewhere nearby. Excited beyond reason, Taco immediately begins running from one headstone to another, reading every engraved name aloud. Angel Eyes allows him to continue, believing the search is almost over. However, the cemetery contains dozens of similar graves, forcing Taco to search carefully while the tension continues building with every passing second. Meanwhile, Blondie quietly studies Angel Eyes himself. Unlike Taco, Angel Eyes never loses focus. His revolver remains steady and his eyes never leave Blondie for long. Blondie realizes that defeating Angel Eyes will require more than speed. It will require perfect timing. He patiently waits, knowing that only a careless movement could cost him his life. Finally, Taco suddenly stops in front of a single weathered headstone. Breathing heavily, he calls out that he has found Bill Carson's grave. Excitement instantly spreads through Angel Eyes' men as they rush toward the location. Every pair of eyes turns toward the grave, hiding the legendary Confederate gold. For a brief moment, nobody notices Blondie quietly observing every movement around him. Angel orders Taco to begin digging immediately. Without hesitation, Taco grabs a shovel and desperately tears into the earth. Convinced that unimaginable reaches area only a few feet below the surface, sweat pours down his face despite the cool weather as he digs faster and faster. Blondie watches silently while Angelisa stands nearby with complete confidence. Convinced that victory is finally his. After several exhausting minutes, Taco's shovel strikes a wooden object buried beneath the soil. His heart races as he clears away the remaining dirt, revealing an old wooden coffin exactly where Bill Carson had been buried. Smiling triumphantly, Angel believes the hunt is finally over. He orders Taco to open the coffin while keeping Blondie covered with his revolver. With trembling hands, Taco slowly lifts the coffin lid. But instead of bags filled with Confederate gold, the coffin contains only a skeleton and a smoleless stone with a single word carved into it. Confused, Angel Eyes immediately demands an explanation. Blondie quietly smiles for the first time. The word cowed into the stone reveals that Bill Carson's grave is only one clue, and only Blondie knows the final location of the buried treasure. Once again, the balance of power shifts completely. Angel Eyes realizes he has been outsmarted. Willie Taco stares at Blondie in disbelief. The hunt is far from over, and the greatest confrontation between the three legendary gunslingers is now closer than ever. The discovery inside Bill Carson's coffin changes everything. Instead of finding bags of Confederate gold, Angel Eyes finds only a skeleton and a small stone pointing toward an author clue. His confidence immediately begins to fade. For the first time since arriving at Sad Hill Cemetery, he realizes that he still does not possess the complete secret. Blondie calmly watches the reaction on Angel's face, knowing his patience has once again given him the advantage. Throughout the journey, Blondie has carefully revealed only the information absolutely necessary, ensuring that nobody could betray him before the right moment arrived. Taco, meanwhile, can barely contain his frustration. After surviving deserts, prisons, battles, and countless betrayals, he had believed the treasure was finally within reach. Instead, the mystery has become even more complicated. He angrily demands that Blondie explain the meaning of the stone, but Blondie simply smiles without answering. His silence irritates both Taco and Angel Eyes because it reminds them that Blondie remains the only person fully capable of solving the puzzle. Angel Eyes quickly regains his composure. Years of working as a professional killer have taught him never to panic. He points his revolver directly at Blondie and calmly orders him to reveal everything he knows. Blondie, however, refuses to be intimidated. Looking Angel Eyes directly in the eyes, he explains that if he dies, the location of the gold dies with him. Angel Eyes immediately understands the truth. No matter how badly he wants the treasure, killing Blondie now would guarantee failure. Once again, Blondie has protected himself using intelligence instead of violence. Forced to cooperate, the three men continue searching deeper into the cemetery. Blondie finally admits that the gold is buried beneath another grave nearby. He refuses to reveal which one until the proper moment. Every step increases the tension between them. Angel Eyes' men grow increasingly impatient, whispering among themselves about how the treasure should be divided. Their greed slowly begins replacing discipline. Exactly as Blondie expected, the enormous fortune waiting beneath the cemetery is already turning allies into potential enemies before anyone has even touched a single coin. As they move through the endless rows of graves, Taco quietly observes Blondie with growing respect. Throughout their dangerous journey, Blondie has repeatedly survived impossible situations by remaining calm while everyone else allowed fear or agreed to control their decisions. Taco begins realizing that Blondie's greatest weapon has never been his revolver. It has always been his ability to think clearly when everyone around him loses control. Not far away, the sounds of the Civil War continue echoing across the countryside. Although the battlefield is now behind them, distant cannon fire serves as a reminder that while three men obsess over hidden gold, thousands of soldiers continue sacrificing their lives. The contrast highlights one of the film's central themes. Whether driven by money, power, or politics, greed often leads people toward unnecessary violence. Eventually, Blondie stops walking and points toward another weathered grave standing quietly near the center of the cemetery. He tells Angel Eyes that the treasure lies beneath it, but before anyone begins digging, he proposes something unexpected. Rather than allowing dozens of armed men to interfere, Blondie suggests settling everything fairly between the three men who have spent weeks chasing the gold. He argues that the fortune belongs only to those who survived the entire journey, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Angel Eyes immediately understands the blondie's intention. The proposal eliminates the possibility of betrayal from his own men while giving him the opportunity to settle the conflict once and for all. Confident in his own shooting ability, Angel Eyes accepts the challenge without hesitation. He dismisses his followers, ordering Thema to stay back while he personally faces Blondie and Tuco. Although surprised by the decision, the mercenaries obey, leaving the three legendary gunslingers alone. Music. Among the countless graves, Tuco looks nervously between the two men. Unlike Blondie and Angel Eyes, he has never been completely confident in formal gunfights. His greatest strength has always been survival through improvisation rather than perfect marksmanship. Nevertheless, he knows there is no turning back now. The fortune, the betrayals, and the longer journey have all led to this single moment. Blondie calmly unloads Tuco's revolver without anyone noticing. Secretly removing every bullet except his own weapon remains fully loaded. By doing so, he quietly protects his unpredictable partner while preparing for the inevitable showdown. It is another example of Blondie's hidden sense of honor. Despite everything Tuco has done, Blondie chooses not to let him die unnecessarily. As the sun begins setting over Sad Hill Cemetery, the three men slowly walk towards the center of a wide circular clearing surrounded by thousands of silent graves. They is spread out until each stands an equal distance from the others. No words are spoken. The wind blows gently across the cemetery as each music man rests his hand near his holster. Weeks of habitual survival, greed, and determination have all led to this unforgettable moment. The legendary three-way duel is about to begin. A confrontation that will decide not only who claims the Confederate gold, but also who survives one of the greatest treasure hunts in cinematic history. The sun slowly begins to set over Sad Hill Cemetery, casting long shadows across the thousands of white gravestones. In the center of the vast circular clearing, Blondie, Tuco, and Angel Eyes stand several yards apart, forming a perfect triangle. No one speaks. The only sounds are the gentle wind moving through the cemetery and the distant echoes of the Civil War far beyond the hills. Weeks of betrayal, survival, greed, and relentless pursuit have all led to this unforgettable moment. The hidden Confederate gold is only a few feet away. Yet, before anyone can claim it, the three gunslingers must settle their differences once and for all. For what feels like an eternity, the three men remain completely motionless. Each watches the others with intense concentration, knowing that even the smallest mistake will mean certain death. Angel Eyes keeps his eyes fixed on Blondie, recognizing him as the greatest threat. Tuco nervously shifts his attention between both opponents, uncertain which man will draw first. Blondie, however, remains perfectly calm. His breathing is steady. His hand rests loosely near his holster, and his face shows no sign of fear. Unlike the others, he prepared for this confrontation long before they entered the cemetery. The tension continues building as seconds seem to stretch into minutes. Every close-up reveals the determination on each man's face. Sweat slowly rolls down Tuco's forehead despite the cool evening air. Angel Eyes narrows his eyes, patiently waiting for the perfect opportunity. Blondie never blinks, carefully studying every moment around him. It is not simply a contest of speed. It is a battle of patience, discipline, and mental strength. Whoever loses concentration for even a fraction of a second will never leave the cemetery alive. Finally, the silence is broken. In lightning-fast motion, all three men reach for their revolvers. A single gunshot echoes across the cemetery. Then another. When the smoke begins to clear, Angel Eyes slowly stumbles backward. Shock appears on his face as he realizes that he has been shot directly by Blondie before he even had the chance to fire accurately. His revolver slips from his hand as he collapses onto the ground. The ruthless mercenary who spent the entire film manipulating, murdering, and betraying others has finally been defeated by the one man who consistently has stayed one step ahead of everyone else. At the same moment, Taco desperately pulls the trigger on his revolver. Nothing happens. Confused, he repeatedly squeezes the trigger only to hear empty clicks instead of gunfire. Looking down in disbelief, he suddenly realizes that Blondie secretly unloaded his weapon before the duel began. Blondie had anticipated that Taco's nervousness might lead him to shoot recklessly, so he quietly removed every bullet without Taco noticing. Rather than allowing his unpredictable partner to die in the crossfire, Blondie protected him with ensuring that Angel Eyes remain the only true target. It is one final example of Blondie's hidden sense of honor beneath his rough exterior. Taco stirs out Blondie with a mixture of anger, relief, and admiration. Although furious at being tricked once again, he also understands that Blondie's decision ultimately saved his life. Had his revolver been loaded, he might have fired at Blondie, or Angel Eyes might have shot him first. Either way, the outcome, music, could have been far more tragic. Blondie's careful planning has once again turned a deadly situation into a victory. With Angel Eyes dead, the cemetery falls silent once more. The greatest obstacle standing between them and the treasure has finally been removed. Blondie calmly walks toward the grave while Taco eagerly follows behind, unable to hide his excitement. After months of endless searching, the area finally standing above the exact location where Bill Carson buried the Confederate gold, Blondie quietly hands Taco a shovel and tells him to start digging. Driven by overwhelming excitement, Taco throws himself into the work with incredible energy. Dirt flies in every direction as he digs faster and faster. Convinced that unimaginable wealth is only moments away, every strike of the shovel brings him closer to the fortune that has consumed his thoughts throughout the entire journey. As the hole grows deeper, the edge of a large wooden crate finally becomes visible beneath the soil. Taco's eyes widen with excitement. Laughing uncontrollably, he clears away the remaining dirt until the entire chest is exposed. Together, Blondie and Taco lifted the heavy box from the ground. Slowly opening the lid, they find it filled with neatly stacked bags of shining Confederate gold coins, exactly as Bill Carson had described. After weeks of hardship, betrayal, prison camps, brutal battles, endless deserts, and deadly gunfights, the legendary treasure has finally been found. But although the gold now belongs to them, Blondie already has one final lesson prepared for his unpredictable partner, a lesson that will decide how their unforgettably journey truly comes to an end. The moment the heavy wood chest is opened, both Blondie and music, Taco stare in amazement. Inside are hundreds of neatly stacked Confederate gold coins, exactly as Bill Carson had described before his death. After weeks of crossing scorching deserts, surviving brutal prison camps, escaping gunfights, and risking their lives on Civil War battlefields, the legendary treasure is finally real. The golden coins shine beneath the fading evening light, confirming that the fortune every man had been willing to kill for has been hidden beneath Sada Hill Cemetery all along. Taco can barely control his excitement. Laughing widely, he begins grabbing handfuls of gold, letting the coins slip through his fingers. Every hardship he endured suddenly seems worthwhile. He talks non-stop about the luxurious life he plans to live, imagining expensive clothes, fine horses, delicious food, and a future where he will never have to run from bounty hunters again. His dreams grow larger with every passing second, completely overwhelming his ability to think clearly. Blondie, however, reacts very differently. Instead of celebrating, he quietly studies Taco's behavior. Throughout their journey, Blondie has learned that greed can easily destroy good judgment. While Taco becomes completely absorbed by the treasure, Blondie calmly counts the bags of gold and considers the safest way to leave the cemetery. His discipline once again separates him from everyone else who chased the fortune. To Blondie, surviving has always been more important than becoming rich. Although Angeles is dead, Blondie knows danger has not completely disappeared. The distant sounds of soldiers moving through the countryside remind him that the civil war continues beyond the cemetery. If news of the treasury spreads, more armed men will soon arrive searching for the missing Confederate gold. The longer they remain at Satilla Cemetery, the greater the risk becomes. Blondie urges Tuco to stop celebrating and focus on leaving before someone else discovers them. Tuco reluctantly agrees, but his excitement quickly turns into a curiosity. Looking at Blondie, he asks whether they can finally trust Tony another after everything they have survived together. The question hangs in the air for several moments. From the very beginning, their relationship has been built on deception, temporary alliances, and repeated betrayals. Yet, despite everything, they have also saved each other's lives more times than either would like to admit. Blondie smiles slightly, giving no clear answer, leaving Tuco wondering whether genuine friendship has quietly developed between them. As they prepare to divide the treasure, Blondie unexpectedly comes up with another plan. Rather than splitting the gold immediately, he carefully ties several bags together and places them near the center of the cemetery. Tuco watches suspiciously, convinced that Blondie is planning another trick. Having been abandoned in the desert earlier in their journey, Tuco knows better than to trust Blondie completely. Nevertheless, curiosity prevents him from walking away. Blondie then hands Tuco a length of rope and calmly instructs him to stand beneath a nearby tree. Confused but hopeful, Tuco reluctantly follows the instructions. Before he fully understands what is happening, Blondie loops the rope around Tuco's neck and secures the other end to a tree branch, recreating the very situation they had used repeatedly during their bounty hunting scheme at the beginning of the film. Realizing what Blondie has done, Tuco immediately begins shouting in anger. Convinced he has been betrayed on sea again, Blondie calmly lowers the bags of gold onto his horse while Tuco hangs helplessly with his feet barely touching the ground. Furious, Tuco hurls every insult he can think of, threatening the revenge if he survives. Blondie listens quietly before mounting his horse. Looking back one final time, he cannot help but smile. Despite all of Tuco's complaints and betrayals, Blondie clearly holds no hatred toward him. Instead, he simply enjoys teaching his unpredictable partner one last unforgettable lesson. Before riding away, Blondie pauses at a safe distance. He raises his rifle, carefully takes aim at the rope stretched above Tuco's head, and waits for the perfect shot. Tuco immediately realizes what Blondie intends to do. Memories of their old bounty hunting routine come rushing back as he nervously waits, hoping Blondie's legendary marksmanship will not fail at the worst possible moment. For several long seconds, the cemetery remains completely silent. Then a single rifle shot echoes across the Sad Hill Cemetery. The bullet slices cleanly through the rope. Tuco crashes safely onto the ground while Blondie rides away with half of the treasure, laughing quietly to himself. Furious but alive, Tuco scrambles to his feet and unleashes a stream of angry curses that echo across the empty cemetery. Yet beneath all his frustration, he knows the truth. Blondie could have left him to die. Uda chose not to. Once again, the mysterious gunslinger proved that even in a world ruled by greed and violence, he still lived by his own unique code of honor. As Blondie disappears into the distant landscape and Tuco gathers the remaining bags of gold, the unforgettably partnership finally comes to an end. The treasure has been found, the enemies have been defeated, and the long adventure is nearly over. Only one final chapter remains to reveal the lasting legacy of the good, the bad, and the ugly. 1966 and why it continues to be celebrated. Also one of the greatest Western films ever made. As the echoes of Blondie's rifle shot fade across Sad Hill Cemetery, Tuco crashes safely to the ground after the rope around his neck is cleanly severed. For a few moments, he lies there gasping for breath, unable to believe that Blondie has tricked him once again. Then, realizing he is alive, Taco jumps to his feet and begins shouting every insult he can think of toward the disappearing gunslinger. His angry voice echoes through the silent cemetery, but Blondie never looks back, riding calmly into the distance with his share of the Confederate gold. He simply smiles, knowing that his unpredictable partner has survived only a final time. Although furious, Taco soon notices that Blondie has not taken everything. Beside the empty grave remains several heavy bags filled with the gold coins, more money than Taco ever imagined possessing. His anger slowly fades as excitement replaces it. Once again, laughing loudly, he gathers the remaining treasure and realizes that despite all of Blondie's tricks, both of them have become wealthy beyond their wildest dreams. In his own unusual way, Blondie has treated the treasure fairly while making sure Taco never forgot what had been one step ahead throughout their entire adventure. Meanwhile, Blondie continues riding away from the cemetery alone. The setting sun stretches across the open plains as he quietly reflects on everything that has happened since the beginning of the journey. He remembers abandoning Taco in the desert, surviving brutal battles during the Civil War, crossing dangerous battlefields, escaping prison camps, and facing Angel Eyes in one of the most unforgettable gunfights ever witnessed. Despite finally becoming rich, Blondie remains the same calm, mysterious drifter he has always been. Money has changed his circumstances, but it has not changed his character. Taco, on the other hand, cannot stop talking to himself as he packs the gold onto his horse. Throughout the film, he has constantly dreamed about becoming wealthy, yet, now that the treasure is finally his, he seems just as loud, energetic, and unpredictable as ever. His personality remains completely unchanged. Instead of quietly appreciating his good fortune, he celebrates wildly, laughing and shouting across the empty cemetery. The contrast between Blondie's quiet confidence and Taco's emotional excitement perfectly captures the difference between the two men that has existed since the very beginning. With Angel Eyes dead, the final obstacle standing between them and freedom has disappeared. His ruthless ambition and willingness to betray anyone for money ultimately became his downfall. Unlike Blondie, who relied on patience and intelligence, or Taco, who survived through instinct and adaptability, Angel Eyes believed in absolute control guaranteed victory. His failure serves as one of the film's strongest messages. Greed without honor eventually destroys itself. As night begins falling across the countryside, both surviving treasure hunters ride in different directions, leaving Sad Hill Cemetery behind forever. Their paths separate just as unexpectedly as they first crossed. Although they spent much of the journey arguing, deceiving only another, and occasionally pointing guns at each other, neither man would have reached the treasure without the other. Their unlikely partnership proved that even two completely different personalities could accomplish the impossible when forced to work together. Looking back on the adventure, it becomes clear that the Confederate gold was never the only prize. Throughout the journey, Blondie and Taco gradually developed a strange form of mutual respect. They rarely admitted it openly, but beneath the constant betrayals existed an understanding that each possessed qualities the other lacked. Blondie's patience balanced Taco's impulsiveness, while Taco's determination often pushed Blondie forward when caution alone would not have been enough. Their relationship became the emotional core of the story, making every confrontation far more meaningful than a simple hunt for a treasure. The Civil War itself also leaves a lasting impression on the story. While the three gunslingers chased fortune across the country, thousands of soldiers continued fighting and dying over political conflicts far greater than themselves. The film repeatedly contrasts personal greed with the devastating cost of war, reminding audiences that ordinary people often suffer while others pursue power or wealth. This powerful backdrop elevates the story beyond a traditional Western, giving it emotional depth and historical significance. More than half a century after its release, the good, the bad, and the ugly, 1966 comedy remains one of the most influential films ever made. Sergio Leone's masterful direction, breathtaking cinematography, unforgettable performances, and Ennio Morricone's legendary musical score transformed the Western genre forever. Countless filmmakers have drawn inspiration from its storytelling, visual style, and iconic characters. The famous three-way duel at Sad Hill Cemetery continues to be regarded as one of the greatest scenes in cinema history, admired for its suspense, emotion, and flawless execution. As Blondie disappears over the horizon and Tuco rides away in the opposite direction, the long treasure hunt finally reaches its conclusion. Yet the legacy of their unforgettable journey lives on, proving that true legends are not created by the gold they find, but by the extraordinary adventures they survive. Only the final chapter now remains, a grossing reflection on the film's enduring message, its unforgettable ending, and why the good, the bad, and the ugly continues to be celebrated as one of the greatest masterpieces in cinematic history. With the treasure finally divided, Blondie and Tuco ride away from a Sad Hill Cemetery in opposite directions. The long and dangerous journey that forced them together has come to an end. For the first time in weeks, there are no bounty hunters chasing them, no ruthless assassins waiting in the shadows, and no hidden clues leading to another destination. The vast American frontier stretches endlessly before them, offering each man the freedom he has been searching for since the beginning of the story. Blondie continues riding alone across the open plains, carrying his share of the Confederate gold. As always, he remains calm, quiet, and unreadable. Throughout the entire adventure, he rarely allowed greed or emotion to cloud his judgment. While nearly every enemy around him was driven by anger, fear, or ambition, Blondie consistently relied on patience, intelligence, and perfect timing. Those qualities ultimately allowed him to survive every dangerous situation, proving that true strength often comes from discipline rather than violence. Meanwhile, Tuco travels in another direction with his own portion of the treasure. Although he now possesses enough wealth to live comfortably for the rest of his life, his personality has not changed at all. He continues talking to himself, laughing loudly, complaining about Blondie's tricks, and dreaming about everything he plans to buy. Even after everything they experience together, Tuco cannot decide whether Blondie was his greatest enemy or his closest friend. Deep down, however, he understands one important truth. Without Blondie, he would never have survived long enough to find the gold. The film subtly reminds viewers that both men, despite their constant betrayals, repeatedly saved one another's lives. Blondie rescued Tuco from execution several times during their bounty hunting scheme, while Tuco later kept Blondie alive after finding him nearly dead in the desert. Together they escaped prison camps, crossed the battlefields, destroyed the bridge that ended a deadly military conflict, and outsmarted the ruthless Angelis. Their partnership was never built on friendship, yet it slowly evolved into something far more meaningful than either of them expected. The fate of Angelis also carries an important lesson. Throughout the story, he believed absolute control and ruthless efficiency guaranteed success. Unlike Blondie, who possessed honor beneath his rough exterior, Angel cared only about money and power. He murdered innocent people without hesitation, betrayed employers, manipulated allies, and believed fear was stronger than loyalty. In the end, however, his greed blinded him. By underestimating Blondie's intelligence and refusing to see beyond his own ambition, he ultimately lost everything. His downfall demonstrates that cruelty alone is never enough to achieve lasting victory. Another powerful aspect of the film is its portrayal of the American Civil War. Rather than glorifying combat, the story presents war as chaotic, tragic, and often meaningless. The battle over the bridge perfectly illustrates this message. Hundreds of soldiers lose their lives fighting over a position that ultimately has little strategic value. Instead, Sergio Leone created characters who exist in the gray area between right and wrong. Blondie may be known as the good, but he is still a bounty hunter who is willing to bend the law when it serves his purpose. Taco is the ugly. Yet beneath his selfish and reckless nature lies a surprisingly human side. Even Angel Eyes, the bad, is portrayed as an intelligent, disciplined, and highly professional killer rather than a mindless brute. This moral complexity made each character feel authentic and helped influence countless films that followed. The film's unforgettable visual style also transformed the way westerns were made. Sergio Leone combined extreme close-ups, long stretches of silence, breathtaking landscape shots, carefully controlled pacing, and masterfully built suspense to create a bold new style of cinematic storytelling. Rather than relying on constant action, he allowed tension to build naturally, making every confrontation feel powerful and unforgettable. Paired with Ennio Morricone's legendary musical score, every scene carries remarkable emotional weight that continues to captivate audiences decades later. As the story approaches its conclusion, it becomes clear that the hidden Confederate gold was never the film's true focus. The treasure simply brought together three unforgettable men whose vastly different personalities created one of cinema's greatest adventurous and unforgettable journey of betrayal, survival, courage, greed, and unexpected loyalty. Blondie, Taco, and Angel Eyes became timeless characters whose influence can still be seen in modern filmmaking. Although their adventure is nearly over, one final chapter remains. In the concluding part, we look back at the film's enduring legacy, its unforgettable ending, the iconic performances that made it legendary, and why The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, 1966, continues to be celebrated as one of the greatest films ever made. As the dust settles across the vast American frontier, Blondie and Taco ride off in opposite directions, each carrying a share of the Confederate gold they fought so hard to claim. The long journey, fueled by deception, greed, and the struggle to survive, has finally come to an end. There is no grand celebration, no cheering crowd, and no fairy tale ending. Instead, the film closes with quiet simplicity, reminding viewers that life on the frontier never truly stops. Every man must continue his own journey, carrying both the rewards he has earned and the consequences of the choices he has made. For Blondie, the treasure is never the true measure of success. Throughout the story, he proves time and again that intelligence, patience, and self-control are far more valuable than wealth alone. While nearly everyone around him allows greed to cloud their judgment, Blondie remains calm under pressure. His victories come not because he is the fastest gunslinger, but because he is the smartest. He studies every opponent carefully, thinks several steps ahead, and never lets panic dictate his actions. Even in the final moments, he chooses to spare Taco's life instead of keeping all the gold for himself, revealing that beneath his hardened exterior lies a quiet sense of honor. Despite all his flaws, Taco also earns his own kind of victory. At first, he appears to be nothing more than a loud, selfish outlaw obsessed with money. As the story unfolds, however, viewers discover a far more complex man. He is resourceful, incredibly resilient, and determined to survive no matter how impossible the circumstances become. His constant clashes with Blondie gradually develop into one of the most memorable partnerships in cinematic history. Although they betray each other more than once, they also save each other's lives repeatedly, proving that trust can emerge even in the most unlikely of relationships. The death of Angel Eyes delivers the film's final lesson about the dangers of unchecked ambition. Unlike Blondie or Taco, Angel Eyes possesses no compassion, loyalty, or moral boundaries. Every relationship he forms is driven entirely by personal gain. His intelligence and professionalism make him a formidable opponent, but his complete lack of humanity ultimately becomes his downfall. In the end, the film suggests that greed without conscience can never lead to lasting success. He kills without hesitation, manipulates everyone around him, and firmly believes that fear is the key to power and success. In the end, however, His greatest enemy is his own arrogance. By underestimating Blondie and relying too much on his ability to control every situation, he loses both a hidden treasure and his life. His downfall serves as a powerful reminder that greed without conscience eventually leads to self-destruction. One of the film's greatest strengths is the way it uses the American Civil War as more than just a setting. While Blondie, Tucko, and Angel Eyes race across the country in search of hidden Confederate gold, thousands of ordinary soldiers are fighting and dying in a brutal conflict that often feels senseless. The destroyed bridge, the overcrowded prison camp, and the wounded, exhausted soldiers all reveal the devastating human cost of war. Through these powerful moments, the film quietly suggests that life's greatest treasure is not wealth, but the ability to survive without losing your humanity. Director Sergio Leone created a cinematic masterpiece that forever changed the Western genre. His groundbreaking style featuring sweeping landscapes, unforgettable close-up shots, extended moments of silence, and expertly crafted suspense continues to influence filmmakers around the world. Combined with Ennio Morricone's legendary musical score, every scene becomes both emotionally powerful and unforgettable. Even decades after its release, the iconic three-way showdown at Sand Hill Cemetery remains one of the greatest and most influential sequences in cinema history. The performances are equally remarkable. Clint Eastwood delivers one of the most iconic roles of his career as the mysterious Blondie, saying very little while expressing everything through quiet confidence and commanding screen presence. Eli Wallach steals countless scenes as the unforgettable Tucko, bringing humor, emotion, and unpredictability to every moment. Lee Van Cleef gives a chilling performance as Angel Eyes, proving that true menace comes from calm determination rather than loud threats. Together, these three actors create an unforgettable trio whose chemistry has become legendary. More than 50 years after its release, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, 1966, is still widely regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. It is much more than a classic Western. It is a timeless story of greed, loyalty, survival, friendship, betrayal, and redemption. Its unforgettable characters, breathtaking cinematography, masterful direction, and legendary soundtrack have secured its place among the greatest achievements in film history. Whether you're experiencing it for the first time or revisiting it after many years, the film continues to deliver the same excitement, suspense, and emotional depth that made it a masterpiece in 1966. If you enjoyed this review, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly is absolutely worth watching for its brilliant storytelling, unforgettable performances, and one of the greatest finales ever captured on film. It remains a true cinematic masterpiece that every movie lover should experience at least once. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth movie reviews, hidden facts, and cinematic breakdowns. See you in the next video.